California Republican Congressman Dana Rohrabacher on all of that. Congressman, what do you make of that? Does it concern you that, the president's attorney general, are kind of at each other's throats now?
Yeah, it concerns me when it concerns my constituents. I've been out here campaigning, and every time I meet with group, Jeff, they say, what's up? How can the president have a disloyal attorney general? That's what's coming across. And they also are coming across with this fake news and deep state attack on the bogus, politically motivated attack on the president. So we end up now, you just had a major discussion on what? The president was being blackmailed long before he was president, okay? And now everybody's talking about, did he make some legal mistakes in how to dealing with the blackmail? The bottom line is the woman who is blackmailing him should be the focus of this. The fact is people should be outraged that Mueller and these people are ending up trying to find any little thing, even if it's a procedural mistake, in order to bring charges against people.
If he was being blackmailed, then he wrote the checks, right?
Well, okay. So why is it that the blackmail is, I haven't even heard that term being used in your whole discussion. It wasn't the term. He was being blackmailed by this woman. The bottom line is this: we have what we have is this massive PR campaign, and Jeff Sessions is going along with it, with Mueller and these people who planned it the day that this president was elected. They planned to undermine his assumption of authority. We've seen that. We've seen that evidence in some of the things that have been coming out in our investigations.
He's part of that?
I will tell you that. I think Jeff Sessions has betrayed. I've said this all along. When he knew that he was going to recuse himself with any charges that were coming up of collusion.
So why doesn't the president fire him, Congressman? He's obviously sick of him, hates his guts now, is disappointed in him. Just give him the heave.
Why not? Because there has been this massive propaganda campaign to actually neuter the president of some of his powers, and one is to get rid of his attorney general. That would be seen as the giant cover-up. No, this whole
then why don't you think Jeff Sessions has quit? There's another opportunity there. If he quit, because it's humiliating what he has to take, whether you like the guy or not. If he quits, at least it gives the president an opportunity, I believe, to appoint someone in the interim, not a permanent replacement.
The fact that Jeff Sessions has not quit is a disloyalty to this president and to the country. The fact is, if he disagrees with what the president wants him to do, he should resign. Jeff Sessions was not elected president. And the fact that people are letting people like Jeff Sessions get away with it should indicate just this incredible propaganda campaign that has tied the president's hands to do what's necessary to be a successful president. This is a conspiracy.
I don't think you would succumb to a propaganda campaign. If you didn't like someone on your staff or someone you were working with, you would fire them in a heartbit. So a lot of people are saying of the president, regardless what you think, just heave the guy out, fire him.
No, the fake news has created the situation where if the president does what's right so that he can assume his authority as president, there will be an avalanche saying, oh, it's part of the cover-up. They've been looking for collusion. I think you have to be a little there. That isn't fake news to say that the president and his attorney general have been back and forth at each other, and the president does have the power to fire a cabinet member he doesn't like rather than drag him to the president. So just don't think of this as fake news. Congressman, just don't think of it as fake news. You don't like the guy. You hate the guy. You think he's a loser or a twerp. He's not getting it done. President apparently calls him Mr. Magoo. Then fire his ass. Be done with it. The dynamics in our society isn't just that the president has the legal power to do something. The dynamics are you can have people working together, where you can call it a conspiracy, whatever you want. We uncovered evidence that people, the very day that the president was elected, saying,
we're going to work together to make sure he
doesn't assume that authority.
It's not fake news to say the president has the real power and authority to say, you, Jeff Sessions, have disappointed me. I don't want you on board. I know I'm going to get chastised for thinking I'm in the middle of covering something up here, but I am firing you. That is not fake news that will dominate that. That is the President of the United States. He has that power.
Fake news. No, hold on. The fake news isn't that. The fake news is what's preventing him and creating the political dynamic of whether if he would conduct himself like you're saying, there would be this massive onslaught claiming that he was covering up other things, and that's what would happen. That's what they'd be claiming.
Well,
and
you can understand why there's at least some raised eyebrows, right,
right,
Congressman? Because he has said some things and then said other things to update those things, like not knowing payments to these women, whatever you want to call it, and then suddenly saying, well, yeah, I did know. You can understand fake news or not. The people are looking at that, Congressman, and saying you haven't been really consistent yourself.
Well, again, we end up discussing mistakes and perhaps in how he handled himself in a situation rather than the essence of the situation is the president's being blackmailed. This man was being blackmailed, and the guy who's mistakenly handling it so that every bit of the procedure isn't correct, he's not the villain. The villain is the person blackmailing him. But no, we don't get that at all.
But Congressman, if someone's trying to blackmail you and you wrote the check to make it go away, you're at least a co-participant in the blackmail, right?
Oh, well, no. The person who's legally. But what we're talking about is this massive PR campaign against the president.
So that you're being blackmailed and you write a check to someone to get the blackmail away. You are participating in a blackmail.
The fact that they don't even mention the word blackmail and they're all focusing on the president's, did he follow exactly the right procedure? You're not mentioning the evil blackmail that caused all of this. That's an example of what this president has to make a problem
go away. I just find it a little odd that you don't think the president has at least some potential responsibility and indeed culpability here.
Oh, well, I didn't say that. I just said that what we're talking about is not just that legal situation, but that has to be coupled with all of this buildup of a bogus, politically motivated charge that he colluded with the Russians in order to undermine his ability to assume the rightful constitutional authority that he won.
You have to take the blows that you thrust on yourself, right? So I'm not saying that it's all one way. But it always seems like the president's people always come down, oh, he's a victim, he's a victim, he's a victim.
Sometimes people make mistakes when they're a little bit desperate. He was going through procedures. Now, I think he made mistakes. But the bottom line is that this is just one example of where a focus on this president is being done specifically to get away from the fact that the special prosecutor is way off target. He was supposed to be giving us evidence of collusion with the Russians to undo
Did you think the prosecutors were way off target?
Did
you think the prosecutors were way off target when they went after Bill Clinton initially on real estate deals and then it veered into something else? It happens, right?
I will have to tell you that I believe that special prosecutors, as not just this one, but we have a history of it now, just like you're bringing up, suggests that we should pass a special prosecutor's law that says if you're going to give people that kind of power, an individual that kind of power, it has to be focused and within bounds. And it's way out of bounds now.
Well, that's a fair argument.
As we're talking about
both
this issue.
sides say that that's something we should be looking at. But Congressman, thank you very much for taking the time.